I'm 26 years old, and my fiancé is 29 years old. We've been dating for 2 years and have been seriously talking about marriage 5 months ago. I found out I was pregnant about 4 weeks ago. It was not the plan to have kids before at least 1 year of marriage. Since we were engaged and he seemed really excited about the pregnancy, it felt wrong not to keep the baby. I also did get excited by the thought of having a baby in 9 months, which I never thought I would. After deciding to keep the pregnancy, he proposed 2 weeks ago. A few days after I posted the news on my social media, I got a message from one of his exes saying that she feels like she needs to tell me that her 10-year-old son is my fiancé's son. Apparently, she told my fiancé when the boy was 2 and he didn't believe her. She said that she is willing to do tests to prove it. I never responded to her but asked my fiancé about this. He said this is the 3rd time she's done this. The first time she did this was when he graduated from college. The day of his graduation, after he posted about his graduation party, which was at night, she called his mom to tell her he had a 2-year-old. It ruined his night, and when he confronted her a couple days later, she said she lied and she just missed him and a bunch of things like that. The second time she did this was a year later when he started posting about his new girlfriend. She messaged his girlfriend and it shook things up, but they never broke up over it. He is saying that she is just doing this because she's jealous and wants to ruin happy people's lives. She does seem like a liar and someone who likes to stir things up. Regardless, I said I will tell her to go ahead and show me proof, which he was not happy about and said I was just giving her the attention that she wanted. Despite his unhappiness with this, I went ahead and asked her for proof. At first, she said she will do the test, but 3 days later she told me she won't. I called her this time to understand why, and her reasoning was that her son will be hurt by this, and if his dad still doesn't want him, it will destroy him. She sounded shady, but she did mention that my fiancé also talked some sense into her. I was surprised by this because he didn't tell me he talked to her. When I confronted him, he said he only texted her to please stop ruining his life and stuff like that. When I asked to see the texts, he said, "Oh, I never texted her, I just called her." I asked him to show me the call, and after a lot of pleading, he showed and he called her twice, all during work hours. The first was 40 minutes long and the other almost 2 hours. I felt there was so much more he said than what he was telling me. I have a strong feeling that he convinced her not to do the test. I asked him to call her in front of me and ask her to do the test, but he refused and said she wouldn't listen to him. I said he can sue her or something to find out the truth, but he was not having it. I told him that I can't deal with all this all while having a baby on the way. I told him either he takes some action to figure out if this boy is his, or I am not having this baby with him. If he is the father of the boy, he needs to deal with it and find out the truth. If he's going to continue to be so dismissive over something as huge as this, I cannot trust him with raising a child with me. I can never have a child alone and share custody, or not, with someone who refuses to take any kind of action against these accusations. Every friend and family member I've talked to says I'm being harsh, especially since he has shown me proof of how manipulative his ex is and how much of a liar she is. I don't feel like this is harsh because even if she is lying, I would still be worried if I was in his place and would want to make sure. I'm also not threatening baby unaliving to manipulate him, but it is what I feel I would have to do now that I'm having a hard time trusting him. I might have said it in anger, but I was just being honest about this whole thing, and how him not taking action makes me feel about him as a father for my child. Am I the jerk? Is the situation plus the hormones affecting my rational thinking? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Someone called and said you have a child and he didn't demand the test then? So if he is the father, he robbed that child of 8 years together, and if he isn't, he could have ended this 8 years ago, but he wasn't responsible enough. Comment 2. Do not marry this man. Do not have this baby and be tied to him for the rest of your life. Stop second-guessing. Break this off now. Make an appointment with a clinic and terminate this pregnancy. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around for an update. So things have been very eventful since I last wrote. I thought I had it all figured out, but boy was I wrong. It started with my fiancé suddenly becoming super attentive, which should have been a red flag. He was doing everything right, being supportive, and even suggested couples counseling. I thought maybe he was finally stepping up, you know? Then, out of nowhere, his ex drops the bombshell. She's moving to another state and taking her son with her. She said it was for a fresh start, but the timing? It was too convenient. My fiancé seemed relieved. A little too relieved if you ask me. He said it was for the best, that we could focus on our baby now. But something didn't sit right with me. I started digging, asking around, and what do you know? Turns out my fiancé's brother has been in touch with the ex all this time. He's been the go-between, passing messages and get this money. Yeah, my fiancé was paying her off to move and keep quiet. When I confronted him, he tried to spin it, saying he was protecting our future, that he didn't want the drama affecting our baby. But I wasn't buying it. I was furious, feeling like a fool for trusting him. I told him he had to come clean, to his family, to me, to everyone. He begged me not to, said it would ruin him. But I was done with the lies. I gave him an ultimatum, tell the truth or I walk. He chose silence. So I walked. I moved out, back to my parents' place. It's been tough dealing with the pregnancy and the heartbreak. But I had to do it, for my sanity, for my baby. My friends and family have been my rock, helping me through this mess. They were shocked by his deceit, but they've got my back. And just when I thought I could catch a breath, another curveball. His ex contacts me again, says she's had a change of heart, wants to come clean. She admits the boy is my fiancé's son, and she's tired of the secrets. She's willing to do the test now, wants her son to know his father. I didn't know what to feel. Anger, pity, vindication. I told her to go ahead with the test. It came back positive, no surprise there. My fiancé's world came crashing down. His family was in shock, his friends turned their backs on him. He tried to reach out to me, but I was done. I had to think about my baby, about the kind of life I wanted for us. Now I'm focusing on the future, on being a mom. It's not the path I thought I'd be on, but I'm making the best of it. I've got a lot to figure out, but I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm not sure what's next for my fiancé, but that's his journey, not mine. Thanks for reading. My cousin begs to use my new dream home for her wedding, but lies about her fiancé's job loss and invites too many guests, so I serve up a slice of karma by billing her for every single damage. I am a 24-year-old female, and I recently got married to my 28-year-old husband. About a year before we got married, we purchased our first home. We did extensive renovations on the house and put a lot of thought, time, care, and money into it. It is our dream home, sanctuary, a forever home we don't plan to let go of. My cousin, who is 33 years old and female, recently got engaged and is going to get married this year. She and I are very different in personality, so we have never been close. Our families, however, could not be closer. Her dad and mine are brothers. Some background. She and her husband, who is also 33 years old and male, both currently live with their respective parents. She was pursuing a nursing degree but left the program. She is not working right now. Her husband works. I don't know how much he makes, but it's an average income job. I mention this because they want to throw a big, extravagant wedding. I have my personal opinion about this, but I also understand that my opinion doesn't matter. It's their wedding, their life. I have never voiced anything other than congratulations on the engagement. The issue is when there is an expectation that family should help them achieve this. I eloped with my husband, and while we didn't have a public wedding, we did throw an intimate reception on our new property. We live in a very quiet, scenic rural area on a small acreage. It is private and thoughtfully landscaped. We have a natural pond, and our property is surrounded by the woods. We chose not to disturb the land around us too much, so some of the property line is in the woods. All this to say, it's not a lot of space as it seems when I say acreage. And also to say, without a doubt, it made for a very nice outdoor venue. I understand the appeal, but the key difference is, we had a small wedding reception. My cousin wants a big 80-plus guests one. Still, I decided to hear my cousin out. I didn't know at the time how big she wanted her reception to be. I was placed under the impression that it would be like ours. I invited my cousin over, and she and I talked about how I set up my reception. I gave her kind of an outline she could use, including all the catering, decor, florists, etc. I made her a meticulous package on Google Docs and shared it with her. She seemed to agree with everything I was saying with a smile. I told her my husband is away for 3 weeks, and I will be gone for a week as well. And if she wants, she is welcome to do some planning, just give me a heads up. I always give my mom access to my home just in case, especially since both my husband and I travel a lot. My mom texted me if my cousin can come in with someone to plan seating arrangements outside, and I told her as long as she, my mom, is present to oversee, they can come. That's when I learned through my mom that she's planning an 80-plus guest wedding and extending the reception into our house, which I explicitly said in person and in my Google Docs is off limits. My mom told her she cannot tour with the organizer the inside of the home, that the owners have not given permission. This upset my cousin. When the organizers left, she became very upset and stormed out on bad terms. Her mother then called my mother to complain ruthlessly about me. I just got back today, and I'm told I'm being accused of being spoiled and selfish and small-hearted. None of these accusations feel warranted. I talked to my husband about what happened, and he told me the bride and her family are being disrespectful toward me, and as such, they do not deserve to host in our home altogether. He said he would revoke the invitation himself. I told him let me think about it, how to best proceed. Would it be wrong to go back on my word and tell her I can't host her reception? It will cause her problems, but it's not my problem. Here is where I feel a bit assholey at it. They are now offering to cut down the guest list, but I feel like the trust is no longer there, and their sudden animosity towards me makes me hesitant to put my home and self-respect at risk, just to appease extended family members. I don't believe they will follow through with their promises or honor the boundaries I've set. I feel like I was misled under false pretenses into agreeing in the first place. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Who is she talking about? She thinks she can be rude to you and use your home as a venue. Just say you need to have your venue somewhere else. Then block her and her mom and tell your mom that you don't want to hear anything from or about them. It's not rude. Even though she deserves rude, it's not long, it doesn't have an unnecessary explanation. It's just what she needs to do while also conveying the message that you won't be hosting. Comment 2. You aren't rescinding your invitation. You offered your home for a small, intimate outdoor wedding, and she has decided she wants a totally different large wedding with people in your home. She is the one backing out. Tell her that you understand that she's changed her wedding requirements and you won't be able to accommodate them. Then stop interacting with further arguments. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So where do I even start? After all the drama with my cousin wanting to use our home for her massive wedding reception, things took a turn for the worse. I thought I had seen it all, but I was wrong. A week after the last incident, my cousin's fiancé lost his job. It was unexpected and it hit them hard. Suddenly, their big wedding dreams were hanging by a thread. My cousin came to me, tears in her eyes, begging for help. She said they couldn't afford the wedding anymore and asked if they could still use our place, promising to cut the guest list down even more. I felt cornered, but I agreed, thinking it was the right thing to do. But then, the day before the wedding, I caught her fiancé in a lie. He hadn't lost his job at all. It was a ploy, a manipulation to make me feel sorry for them. I was furious. I felt like a fool for believing their sob story and for letting them walk all over me. But the wedding was the next day, and everything was set up. I couldn't back out now without looking like the villain in front of the whole family. The wedding day was a disaster. They brought more guests than we agreed upon, and the property was trashed. My cousin didn't even apologize. Instead, she had the nerve to complain about the lack of space and how we should have been more accommodating. I was at my breaking point. I wanted to kick everyone out, but I didn't. I just watched as they turned our dream home into a nightmare. It was the longest day of my life. After they left, my husband and I spent days cleaning up. It was during this time that I found out my cousin was spreading rumors about me, saying I was the one who insisted they have the wedding at our place and that I was the one who made them feel unwelcome. I couldn't believe it. After everything, she was playing the victim. I was so angry I wanted to confront her, but my husband said it wasn't worth it. He was right, of course, but it didn't make it any easier to swallow. In the end, I decided to forgive her. Not because she deserved it, but because I needed to move on. I felt weak and desperate, like I was giving in, but I couldn't let this eat away at me anymore. So, that's the update. It's been a rough month, to say the least. Thanks for reading. My family tried to force me to sacrifice my dreams and care for my brother, so I booked a one-way ticket and showed them I'm not their puppet. For background, my 23-year-old female family is very close, even distant family members. We have family gatherings at least twice a year. My Nana lives in a trailer park that's basically considered an older adult community, and she's taken care of my half-older brother, who has Asperger's, since he was a baby due to my mom being too young to care for his needs at the time. I love my brother very deeply, and I'd do almost anything for him. Not to toot my own horn, but he has pictures of me in his bedroom because he loves me that much. I still live with my parents thanks to living alone being almost impossible at the moment. I am in a serious 5-year relationship with a man who I am almost certain I'll be married to. We aren't yet for personal reasons that we already discussed together, but we are both pretty confident that we will be married. Last year, during a family gathering, my mother and my Nana proposed to me that once my Nana is gone, I will inherit her trailer, and I can take care of my half-older brother since he cannot live on his own. Here is the problem. I have dreams of moving out of the province we are living in, because I just hate it here that much. I can't handle it here. I told my mother plenty of times I have a dream home I want to build from the ground up and make it my own. I told my mother that my boyfriend is going to school for a job that isn't as in demand. Therefore, wherever he finds a posting for this job, we will likely have to move to wherever it is. Lastly, my boyfriend and I are just craving for privacy. We want to be alone. We can't get that if my brother is living with us. I told my mother and Nana no, and explained these reasons why to them. They both looked at me with dejected eyes and didn't know how to reply. And I understand why. I'm really the only candidate in the family who is able to take care of my brother. On the drive home that day, my mom was PED, screaming at me for being selfish, telling me to find someone else who will work a job with more demand. I shut her up real quick, telling her that I refuse to take on a life-changing responsibility and drop my and my boyfriend's dreams simply because everyone else in the family doesn't want to do it. Atha for refusing to take care of my brother who can't live on his own? Edit. I've seen a lot of questions asking why my mom can't take care of her son. Though I shouldn't defend my mom too much, I will defend her for having her own dreams too. Due to my brother's disability, he needs stability, otherwise he will have a bout, as they call it, I guess. My parents are almost retired, and it is their dream to travel around North America and do nothing but camp. I get it. They have the right to follow their dreams too. But why am I the only one expected to drop all of mine? I don't think that's right, IMO. Am I still the AH? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your mom was once too young to care for her son, but what is her excuse now? He is her responsibility, not yours. She needs to start spending lots of time with him, understanding his needs and lifestyle so she can take over for Nana. Comment 2. Please hold firm. You are young and deserve your own life. Run far away if you have to, and seriously, the right kind of care and group home would benefit him a lot more than you giving up your own life for the family. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, where do I even start? After I last wrote, things went from tense to downright explosive. My cousin, who's always been the golden child of the family, decided to weigh in on the situation. He's the type who can do no wrong in everyone's eyes, but let me tell you, he's got a mean streak a mile wide when he wants to. He called me up one evening, all high and mighty, accusing me of abandoning the family and being a terrible sister. I was fuming, but I bit my tongue. I didn't need to give him the satisfaction of seeing me lose it. But then, he did something that I still can't wrap my head around. He went behind my back and told my brother that I didn't want him, that I was too busy chasing a fantasy life to care about him. My brother, bless his heart, doesn't always understand the nuances of these situations. He was heartbroken, and I spent hours on the phone trying to explain and comfort him. It was a mess. In the midst of all this, my boyfriend got his job posting. It was perfect, exactly what we'd been hoping for, but it was across the country. We were over the moon, but telling my family felt like I was dropping a bomb. My mom was quiet, too quiet, and I knew she was disappointed. But what could I do? This was our chance to start our life together. The next family gathering was like walking into a lion's den. My cousin had stirred the pot, and now everyone had an opinion. Aunts and uncles I barely knew were suddenly experts on my life, telling me it was my duty to stay and take care of my brother. The guilt was suffocating, but I stood my ground. I had to. Then, in a move that shocked everyone, my mom announced she and my dad had made a decision. They were going to postpone their retirement travels indefinitely to take care of my brother. The room went silent. I was relieved, sure, but also resentful. Why did it take pushing me to the brink for them to step up? But here's the kicker. My mom had one condition. I had to visit home at least 4 times a year. No excuses. It was like a chain around my ankle, a reminder that I couldn't just walk away from my responsibilities. I agreed, what else could I do? It felt like a terrible situation, but at least my brother would be cared for and I could start my new life. So, we moved. It's been a month, and the distance has given me some perspective. I miss my brother like crazy, and those phone calls are the highlight of my week. But I can't shake the feeling that I've been manipulated into accepting a deal that benefits everyone but me. I'm starting to wonder if my mom's condition was her way of keeping me tethered to a life I was desperate to leave behind. Thanks for reading this far. It's been a hectic ride, and I appreciate you sticking with me through it all. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.